Hi, my name is Phil Anderson, and I'm running for United States Senate to represent Wisconsin. I got asked a very interesting question on my Facebook page this weekend, and the question was somewhat like this, and I hope that the person that asked the question will forgive me if I'm not stating it completely correctly. But the question was, is there any inherent honor or virtue in wealth, and conversely, is there any sort of inherent dishonor or lack of virtue in poverty or lack of wealth? And my answer is this: no, there's not. There have, of course, been throughout history people of virtue who have been wealthy, people of virtue who have been poor, and also despicable people who've been rich, despicable people who've been poor. It really doesn't matter. It doesn't really correlate in that way, in that sense. I think there's some theology that might address that, but that's not really the theology that I'm involved with, or that I believe in, or that I can even speak to authoritatively. But I will say this, that in terms of libertarian philosophy, really the only thing that that is virtuous or not virtuous is trying and having honest transactions with people. It's not always going to turn out the best. There are winners and losers in every free market, and thankfully, even based on the statistics of the semi-free market that we live in the United States, well, people that try or people that don't try or whatever, there's a lot of movement between people that are lower income and higher income. A lot of politicians talk about the top 10% or the top 1% or whatever. There's actually a lot of traveling, a lot of movement back and forth. A lot of people are in the lower 20%, even as adults, at some point in their life. A lot of people are in the upper 50%, upper 20% in their lives, and move in and out of those categories. So despite the fact that pointing out wealth inequality, my concern with wealth inequality is not that the rich are very, very rich, but are the people that are middle class or lower class, are they doing well? And are there any obstacles to them trying and being successful and becoming at least self-sustaining in terms of a free economy? And that is really what defines libertarianism, I think, is that we want to get rid of the governmental meddling in the economy and in the market, because what the result of that has been is those who can rent seek effectively. Rent seeking is basically purchasing influence with politicians. Those are the ones who get favored in a skewed market. It doesn't really work out that people that are poor get lifted up or disadvantaged become advantaged. What happens more or less is that people that have power, access to power, and can influence political power are the ones that get advantaged. And that's why we have the crony corporatist economy that we live in today, and not true free market capitalism. So back to the original question, I don't think there's any virtue in wealth, any virtue in poverty, any despicable aspects of either one. But as long as we provide for those things that people want and that are inherent to human beings, and that is the opportunity to succeed, the opportunity to trade freely, to not be disadvantaged in the marketplace or in society. And I think the Constitution already provides for that if it's interpreted as the founders would have interpreted it, and that is, people are people. God gave them rights. That's their view on it. God gave everyone rights. It took a while later, obviously, to recognize the rights of women and minorities, but nonetheless, the idea is that all people now who are adults have rights, and the right to succeed or not succeed based on your own merits, based on free transactions, and not be disadvantaged by any of the categories that might describe them. That is what libertarianism stands for: an open, honest society where there's not virtue or the lack of virtue in being wealthy or poor, but that everyone has an opportunity to succeed. That's the goal. That's what I'm going to fight for as your senator, that we tear down the governmental restrictions and crony corporatism that keep people from succeeding, keep them from entering the job market, keep them from starting their own businesses, keep them separated and at each other's throats, and open up a freer society, a freer market, so that people can succeed insofar as they try and are to a certain extent lucky and with the talents that they've been given. Thanks, and I'll talk to you tomorrow.